St. Elmo United Methodist Church. My name is Scarlett Farr, and I'm your co-chair for Staff Parish Relations, and this is my wife, Allison McAvoy.
Won't you say our mission statement with us? Matthew 5:13 says, "You are the salt of the earth." Our mission is to be a Christ-centered church that boldly serves, accepts,
Loves and teaches.
Good morning and welcome to worship at St. Elmo United Methodist Church. My name is Becky Myatt and I'm the worship chair here at St. Elmo. As you enter the worship space online, type in a greeting and pass the peace of Christ to one another. And feel free to share any prayer request in the worship space or on our Facebook page. Let's all continue to pray for each other as we are apart. Today's Feed the Hungry offering is World Communion Sunday. This offering benefits students around the world by providing scholarships, mentoring, and training. World Communion Sunday has been celebrated since 1936. Tithes and offerings can be sent in online through the online giving found on our website or at the top of our Facebook page. Feed the Hungry offerings can be paid online as well. If you have a specific item you are contributing toward, please make sure you make a note on the online form designating where you want the money to go. Otherwise, it will go into our general fund. You are also welcome to mail your offerings to the church. Thank you for continuing to support the ministries of our church. Mike Rice will be serving the homeless a meal on Friday, October 9th. If you are available to help, please contact him or simply meet at the church at 5 p.m. on Friday. You will be following COVID precautions, including wearing masks and gloves. Angela Davis has started a Zoom Sunday school class at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. Her series is titled Knowing Better. All ages are welcome to attend. The Zoom link can be found on our Facebook page. St. Elmo's Church Conference is scheduled for Sunday, October 18th at 4:30 p.m. via Zoom. You are invited to join UMC Next for Holston Conference on Sunday, October 18th at 4:30 p.m. via Zoom. The Zoom link and more information can be found on our Facebook page, or you can contact Danny Touye with any questions. We have another Zoom Trivia Night coming up on Friday, October 16th at 7:30 p.m. All are invited to join us for this fun social gathering. If you are interested in becoming a member of St. Elmo, please contact Pastor Deborah via phone or email. Have a wonderful Sunday and enjoy your worship.
Good morning. Today's sermon title is Declare God's Glory. Our passage is Psalm 19. I'm reading from the Common English Bible. Heaven is declaring God's glory. The sky is proclaiming his handiwork. One day gushes the news to the next, and one night informs another what needs to be known. Of course, there's no speech, no words. Their voices can't be heard, but their sound extends throughout the world. Their words reach the ends of the earth. God has made a tent in heaven for the sun. The sun is like a groom coming out of his honeymoon suite. Like a warrior, it thrills at running its course. It rises in one end of the sky. Its circuit is complete at the other. Nothing escapes its heat. The Lord's instruction is perfect, reviving one's very being. The Lord's laws are faithful, making naive people wise. The Lord's regulations are right, gladdening the heart. The Lord's commands are pure, giving light to the eyes. Honoring the Lord is correct, lasting forever. The Lord's judgments are true. All of these are righteous. They are more desirable than gold, than tons of pure gold. They are sweeter than honey, even dripping off the honeycomb. No doubt about it, your servant is enlightened by them. There is great reward in keeping them. But can anyone know what they've accidentally done wrong? Clear me of any unknown sin, and save your servant from willful sins. Don't let them rule me. Then I'll be completely blameless. I'll be innocent of great wrongdoing. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing to you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. This is the word of life for God's people. And God's children respond, thanks be to God. Today we're spending time with Psalm 19. The title, Declare God's Glory, comes from verse 1. Heaven is declaring God's glory. The sky is declaring his handiwork. Let's pause there for a moment. Do you ever look to the sky and comment on God's handiwork? Whether a cloud formation, a sunrise, a sunset, a rainbow, etc. When is the last time you've looked into the sky and noticed God's handiwork? did you respond? In awe? In gratitude? Did you smile? Did you take in a deep breath? It's possible that if you looked up and it was a huge rain cloud or storm, then you might have not felt that relief or peace in the moment. Yet, we can appreciate the dark times too, can't we? Isn't there beauty even in the dark clouds and the storms? As I reflect on God's handiwork, lyrics from a song came to mind. In the stars, his handiwork I see. That just stuck in my mind this week. These words are from He's Everything to Me. You might know it, you might not. I learned it at camp years ago. A camp not too far away here on Lookout Mountain. Lookout Mountain right above where I am in the moment, going all the way down to Mentone, Alabama. Mentone, Alabama is where I spent my formative years in camp. I can still hear this song in my head, the way we sang it at camp around the campfires. It was written by Ralph Carmichael. Hear these lyrics. In the stars his handiwork I see. On the wind he speaks with majesty. Though he ruleth over land and sea, what is that to me? I will celebrate nativity, for it has a place in history. Sure, he came to set his people free. What is that to me? Till by faith I met him face to face, and I felt the wonder of his grace. Then I knew that he was more than just a God who didn't care, that lived away out there. And now he walks beside me day by day, ever watching over me, lest I stray, helping me to find that narrow way. He's everything to me. I spent some time searching YouTube and different places on the computer to try to find a version close to what I could remember from camp. The closest version I could find was one used in a Billy Graham movie called The Restless Ones, where they're on the beach sitting around a campfire singing and there's guitars playing. I'll post the video later when I post the sermon in my blog. I also found a version with a scenery of a river behind it, and it was pretty good too. But what I remember is Polly Cameron singing around our campfires with the guitar, and other counselors singing as well. If I could bring in Polly Cameron to sing it for you today, I would, but that's not possible. Again, I remember the song. I hope if you don't know it that you'll look it up and listen to it. Just focus on the lyrics for a moment and think about God's glory, God's handiwork. We could stop with verse 1, with the heavens declaring God's glory and the sky proclaiming his handiwork. But there's so much more found here in Psalm 19. As verses 2 through 6 give detail to God's glory and handiwork, how day and night flow into one another, how the sun rises and completes its circuit. In verses 7 through 9, we read the words instruction, laws, regulations, commands, and judgments. These words are paired with perfect, faithful, right, pure, and true. In fact, here are the phrases. Instruction is perfect. Laws are faithful. Regulations are right. Commands are pure. Judgments are true. Additionally, we see what the outcome is from these. Reviving one's very being, making naive people wise, gladdening the heart, giving light to the eyes. How does it sound to you that your very being can be revived, that you can gain wisdom, that your heart can be gladdened, that you can receive light? In these ongoing, difficult, and different days in which there's still unknown and uncertainty, the promise of being revived, growing, and gaining in wisdom, a gladdened heart, and enlightened eyes is encouraging. Here's the kicker. Life has always been full of unknowns and uncertainties. We've just not always had to face them like we've had to throughout this pandemic. We haven't had to stare down the unknown and the uncertainty for such a long period of time. We haven't had our lives disrupted for this long as a community. I continue to look around in this space, in this sanctuary, and wonder when we will be able to regather again in person. We're working on it. We are working on our plan to regather. It's not an easy plan, as I've shared with you before. We have to have all our ducks in a row. We've talked to the insurance people, and we found out what we need to know from them. We're working on our plan of how to contact people. Some people don't have technology, so we are setting up a way to get phone calls out to them. It's a lot. And some people are hard to find. So we're working on that. And I know you guys are ready to meet again. So am I. Yet we also know that some people, because of health concerns, cannot. And until there is health vaccine, they won't be able to join us. So we will continue meeting online as well. But there's still unknowns and uncertainties that go on and beyond. We have these disruptions, not just as a community, individually. There's been things going on in our lives, as families, as an entire country and world. It's been a long time. We've had to learn to adapt, to change, allow ourselves to become creative, to get out of our former ways and be renewed. I hope that you've been finding ways to become renewed. When I had bilateral frozen shoulders, I was stuck. Literally. I couldn't move. One day, I was fine. I could raise my shoulders like this. The next day, trying to do a ball like this in Vacation Bible School, my arms would not move beyond this. Literally. Bilateral. It took 3 years of physical therapy for me to regain full range of motion. And even then, I still had to work to get to here. And there's still a little pain. That was a difficult time for me. not being able to do simple tasks like I once could, thinking I should be better more quickly than I was, becoming frustrated, being tired of the pain. 3 years and a little beyond. Add to that, during that same time period, anemia. I became anemic. Therefore, I was tired a lot at that time. I was tired of being tired. Can you relate? One thing I learned during that time was to slow down. I pretty much had to. I learned to let go of things. Again, I pretty much had to. I learned to breathe in more deeply and to recognize God's handiwork around me. I share this because possibly during this pandemic, you are having to slow down. You're having to let go. And maybe you are starting to recognize God's handiwork around you. For me, in recognizing God's handiwork around me, I began to see God's handiwork in me. I, too, am one of God's creations. And as I began to declare God's glory, as I began to understand myself as a beloved creation of the Creator, I began to respond differently to situations. Now, just because we see ourselves as we are created to be, a beloved child of God, that doesn't mean that we're finished growing and changing. God is still molding and making us into the image of Christ. It's an ongoing transformation until the day we die. Last week, we studied Philippians 2, 1 through 13, and we talked about what it means to be like Jesus and how Christ modeled for us humility, hospitality, and so much more. Today's passage in verses 12 through 14, we see a way to do a daily examine of ourselves. Clear me of any unknown sin, and save your servant from willful sins. Don't let them rule me. Then I'll be completely blameless. I'll be innocent of great wrongdoing. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be pleasing to you, Lord, my rock and my redeemer. In closing, I offer the Psalm prayer by Richard Esslinger from the Upper Room Worship Book, number 242. It says this: Night and day, all creation declares your glory, holy God. Yet you call us into covenant and reveal your will for our lives. Your perfect instruction renews life. Your commands can be trusted. In humility, may we serve you, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. Will you pray with me? Creator God, we join with the psalmist and declare your glory. In your handiwork, we see your glory. Help us to slow down enough to be aware of your glory around us and to be aware of your glory, your handiwork in us. We too are your creation. May we declare your glory in us, through us, and around us. Slow us down, God. May we continue to have an attitude of gratitude. May we continue to give you honor, glory, and praise for who you are, for what you're doing, for how you're revealing yourself to us. And may we continue to submit ourselves to be molded into the image of Christ. And all God's children said, Amen. May the peace of Christ be with you all. Amen.
Stacy.